Hey, gang, welcome to another edition of the CCA Corner. We have a mailbag episode for you again, where we're going to be talking about the new employee retention program, or as the new acronym is, the NEERMP, the new Employee Experience Retention and Mentorship Program. This is an episode we've wanted to do for a little while, but Mal and I weren't feeling like we could tackle it in the best way. However, we figured out we already know a really cool OJI who's been on the CCA corner already. So we got Gus here with us. Yeah, and joining me is we got our recurring guest, recurring guest host Townie. Townie, say
What
hi.
up? What up?
And Mal's out for this one, but we called an audible and we subbed in Mr. Cole Billups, Wizard of the Ones and Twos, is joining us on this recording.
Mal sounds different, doesn't she?
But yeah, so we got kind of an all hands on deck mailbag episode, and we're going to our ace in the hole, our favorite OJI, who if you remember back, talked to us about academy and cadet training. It's like it was like episode 4 or something. Gus, I love talking to you, brother. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, and you're far too kind with all the praise you offer.
Well, dude, you have a. I was telling these guys like our CCAs, and if you go back and listen to the episode Gus was on, our CCAs and our PTFs, they're the least paid, most overworked, abused people in the post office. We're all trauma bonded and look out for each other and shit. And like having somebody who has such a big heart for the newbies like you do, like I wish every office had someone like you, Gus, because you do have a giant heart for the newbies coming in, and I love you, brother. That's why you were who we immediately thought of when we were like, we got to get some help on this one.
Yeah, as a academy instructor, I see all the new people day one, and I was a PTF for 8 years, so I know the struggle. Yeah, I got caught in the recession, so I get it, and it's kind of like one of those things. Whenever you see somebody make a mistake, it's like, hey, we were all new at one point. You only learn from making mistakes, so always try to put myself in their shoes.
That's awesome. I love you, brother. So I guess do you want to just get into the damn thing?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so what is this NEERP?
So, I'm not the expert on it, but basically the post office with the union, there was an acknowledgement that we have a really horrible retention problem. I'm sure most of our offices out there listening know, because you've probably gone through CCAs or PTFs. So, finally they said, we got to do something about this. So they had a pilot program in a couple locations, and it seemed to be successful. So they decided to add it to the national agreement. And it's basically kind of like more concrete style of rules to really keep things more universal across the country. The hardest part of this job is learning this job. And I always say to people, you got two things when you're brand new. You got to learn the job. You got to learn where you're delivering. And then while you're doing that, someone's like, oh, by the way, here's 11 hours and you got to do it in 10. So it can be really stressful. And I know you're not always supposed to use sports analogies, but that's what I do. It's like a rookie baseball pitcher. You don't go, hey, we need you to pitch 9 innings in game 7. You say, hey, how about you pitch 5 innings, in May? And if you do a good job, then you can pitch 6 and then 7. And eventually 4 or 5 years into your career, obviously a lot quicker for the post office, but as a baseball player, it's like you're an established starter and now you can go and have your career. If that makes sense.
And that's why we have good experienced people on the ODLs, to call in the relief pitchers, right?
Exactly.
So I guess all right. So good. Now that we know what it is, so this is like the first 90 days, sort of, right? Or sort of the idea. What does that first 90 days look like?
It's It's basically like an onboarding process, just kind of like slowly getting you up to speed. I don't have the sheet in front of me, unfortunately, but the first, there's an hours limit at first, and then slowly it lets you do more hours because they don't want to overload people. I saw it myself. I've been at my office for 4 years now. I bid out and bid back. So for the last 4 years, I probably trained, I don't know, 40, 50 people, shadowed and stuff like that. And you could see it for a lot of the people who couldn't handle this job. It was because they were overworked right off the bat. You could just tell. I mean, how many people, you all had jobs, I assume, before the post office, where you work in 60, 65 hours, 6 days a week, 7 days a week? Of course not. That's insane, especially for a new person. It's like, this is too much. I don't want to handle this. So and unfortunately, I think a lot of offices can't self-regulate that. So they kind of need it in writing to say, hey, we're taking the decision for you. You can't force this PTF or CCA to do 60 hours because they're brand new. They need to be eased into it. So they can only do 40 hours. And I know,
Yeah, yeah, no, and like so, yeah, because like I work jobs where they immediately have you working 60, but you're making twice as much money as you are here, and like that was a huge problem with the retention thing. So they're kind of like, okay, maybe if we soften like the workload and we make it a more gradual thing, is that kind of the idea?
exactly.
Okay, so I guess if I'm a CCA at your office and you're the mentor, and someone says, "Hey, there's this mentorship program," uh, right away I get like what a handout and like a kind of the rundown of like, "Hey, these are your work hour limits," right? Is that what happens?
Yeah, I mean, we're big country, a lot of states, a lot of regions. I know, like in Boston, Rhode Island, we at the academy we actually hand out the sheets. I give a service talk. It's the first thing I do in academy is give a service talk about the mentorship, and then we hand them sheets that kind of outline what everything is. And then using that, you can kind of use that as your like guide when you get to your office. I mean, a lot of the mentors are probably going to naturally be the OJIs as well, but you should meet your supervisors, obviously your manager, and then you'll meet your OJI, your union steward, and then if someone is up, if one of them isn't your mentor, then you would meet the mentor, and they'll kind of go over what the process is. And nobody's drafted to do this. It's all volunteers that want to be able to help and stuff like that.
So wait, who
Oh,
who is the mentor? Who decides who the mentor is?
So that's a collaboration between management and the union. Um, you know, it's kind of like picking a neutral party, right? The unions, they have their reasons for the people they want to pick. Management has their reasons for the people they want to pick, and they got to come to an agreement. I would like to think most offices were able to come to an agreement for a mentor. I know where I am, I haven't heard of anybody who asked to be it that was really told no. You know, um, so
I, I mean, it seems like it takes a little bit to be a mentor too. You got to be regularly accessible, right?
absolutely. I mean, and I'm sure every one of you in this, podcast probably had a mentor without it being an official mentor when you joined the post office. I know I did. I had probably
that
like 10
part.
people who looked out for me, and it's
Yeah,
just
that part.
right. So if one of them is just like naturally the quote unquote mentor leader, they're just kind of like a little bit more well versed in it. But everybody should really be a mentor to everybody else, is how I look at it, anyways.
Yeah. So our I'm a brand new CCA in my 90. We got the hour protections are what are the exact hours? It's what 11.5.
Well, that's for every uh, PTFCCA. It's 11.5. So
Okay.
it's 11.5 work hours. So it's 12 hours from when you punch on because it includes your lunch. So for
Okay.
me on the overtime list, it's 12 and a half because it does not include my lunch.
So what about small offices? Does it still apply to small offices or
Yeah, it applies to every office. You know, big offices have their advantages. There's more people, you know, um, more people to help you out. But it can also be not good because you have a lot more to learn, right? Like I was in the IMC, which has 163 routes, I think, the last time I remember. So as a PTF, you might do a route, and you might not do that route again for 3 years, just the way it works out. So a small office can be nice because it's a lot less to kind of learn. You get a lot more familiar with everything, but there's maybe not as many people to mentor you, but you should still get the mentor. Have an option for somebody to be your mentor. Absolutely.
Okay. So, I mean, my question then, let's say I'm a new CCA, right? And my mentor isn't really a good fit for me.
So what you should do, this is where I always tell people at Academy, like in a weird way, as a new employee, you got to be a little selfish. Like, I hope you have a 35, 40-year career, but you got to do what's right for you to help get you that career. If somebody's not a good fit, that's okay. Sometimes personalities clash. People learn in different ways. That's where you just got to have an honest and open dialogue and say, hey, I want a mentor. I don't think we're really, we just don't have the right personality fit. Can somebody else mentor me? If it's that small of an office, I would think you could call your local branch. Maybe you don't have a mentor in the office, but you could have somebody mentor you from the branch, maybe a union official, or just somebody to be available, right? Thing that's kind of nice about learning this job now is we all have these awesome smartphones in our pocket. Like, everybody's just a text or a phone call away. I mean, Badmouth, how much do we talk during the week, right? And we've never even met, and you're 15 states away, but we can still have awesome conversations, right? So it's like you should be able to find a mentor, even if it's not directly in your office, if it's a particularly small branch.
Yeah, and I think like it's almost kind of like the OJI relationship, right? Like my OJI, Tremont Smith in Glencrest, fucking love the band, but I wasn't going to blow his phone up all the time with questions because I met one or two other people who were also there. Like if it came down to like training and jobs like stuff, if it was contractual, I talked to my steward. I talked to my OJI if it was about job process type stuff. If it was about like uh, politicking and social interaction in the office, which happens because that happens at every job. There's other people there who are friendly. You get kind of the rundown as you spend time in the office, right? You don't have to rely always on one specific person.
Very well said. And I think one thing that I like about the mentor program, especially if your office has one, it's like they volunteered for it. They're ready for it. Like as a OJI, as a branch officer, as an academy instructor, I'm willing to and I expect to get questions and answer them. So you are never bothering me. Like I tell everybody, you can call, text, I will always answer. You are never a bother. Because I know as a new person, sometimes you feel like you're bothering a person. Like they got a job to do. They can't stop everything from me. It's like, it's okay. Your question, you don't have any question that I can't answer or get somebody to answer it for you.
Hell right.
I think the
Okay, so
big part too, though, about being a new person, and the one advice that I would give is much like the post office is something that networks and brings the whole country together. It's the same thing with the letter carriers. Make sure you network, and certain people are good at certain things. So don't be afraid to go up and ask other people questions too, personally, face to face.
Absolutely. Like in my office, we have 2 zones, Revere, Massachusetts, Melrose, Massachusetts. Shout out, what's up? But I don't know the routes in Revere very well because I'm a Melrose carrier. So, if somebody has a question about the Revere zone, I don't know the answer most likely. However, I've got friends over there that I can put you in contact with who do have the answers, and they'll be able to help you from there, and vice versa. If that makes sense.
For certain.
first off, before the 90, my question on when you're still in your 90 is so like for me before the new employee retention program, my my 30, 60, and 90 day uh, like interview session, that was all
Mhm.
pencil whip. I was told I was doing horrible, and then I was told I was doing slightly less horrible, and then I was told I was doing slightly better than less horrible, but still not great. Um, and when I was like, I don't know what more you want from me, they said, "Well, this is just how we do it," and whatever. That was like what it. what can a CCA or PTF expect from their mentor when they get these reviews?
So, one of the parts of the mentor program is they can now be part of that process, where before it was kind of like just you and the supervisor as a new employee. And it's not a great answer, I'm not going to lie to you, but it seems to be a lot of management. They subscribe to the theory of underselling you so they can oversell you at the end. Like, if you could be the best employee they've ever seen in 30 days, but they're afraid if they write that you're too good, you can only go down from there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Kind of.
that's what my manager told me. I was like,
Yeah,
I came in with 104-degree fever 3 days in a row, and you're saying I'm unreliable? What the shit is this? And they're like, oh well, we gotta write that.
yeah. I've been in the post office 19 years, so I still remember my 30-day review. They made a comment that, like, I wasn't in proper uniform, which, as you know, you don't get a uniform in your 30 days. So it seemed kind of weird to me that I couldn't be in uniform because I'm not provided a uniform. And I never talked back, especially then. I was like, what's up with that? And they were like, oh, we're just saying that because at the end we're going to give you, O or outstanding or whatever it is. Just don't worry about it. You're doing a great job. And it
Okay,
is a little.
so this is kind of a way where you're not just having that alone, and you can't defend yourself. This is like I have a witness when this nonsense is brought up. Is that kind of
Yeah,
the idea?
I think it's that, and I think it's too, like, I have relationships with my supervisors. So if they're telling a person that, like, you're doing a great job, we're just giving you use so that we can build you up later, I can tell that person you really are doing a good job. They're just trying
Okay.
to protect you on that 30 because they don't want to rate you too high, then you go down or something happens. They want to give you some room to grow, so to speak.
Okay.
Again, kind of a
That
silly way to do it because I've never heard of, like, the bosses. I've never heard anywhere where somebody said, "Oh, you got O's and then you went down to S's, so we have to let you go." So I don't know what they're afraid of by not just telling the truth right off the bat, but that's just the way they do the process. But I
God,
think
I love bureaucracy.
you're right. Exactly. The mentor's in the room to kind of give context to what the supervisor's saying.
Okay.
It's
All
kind of
right.
like
No,
it's kind of like a PDI where they have like an extra person to listen and interpret it for you.
Yeah, though it don't the 30-90 30-60-90 day, do not think that's a PDI. That should be happening. And honestly, as a new employee, I want it to happen, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. So if you're doing
yeah.
something and you don't know you're doing it wrong, you're going to keep doing it till somebody corrects you. I would hope your supervisor would correct you day 17 as opposed to year 17.
Yeah. Because we all take a lot of pride in our work. So when someone's telling you you're doing a bad job just because that's how they do their paperwork, that's dog shit. So that's awesome that your mentor gets to be like, disregard that nonsense. You're doing great. That's awesome. And I think my other question before we get to some of our listener questions. So beyond the 90, like I'm a regular now. No longer a male boy, but a mailman, and I will make that joke until I've been here for another 10 years. Um, but I I would have loved this program when I was freshly here CCA, right? If you are a CCA who started 10 months before this program started, do you get to benefit from the program? Like, do you get a mentor? If I'm a CCA and I still got another year of being a CCA, and now there's a mentor at my station taking care of the new jacks coming in, because you know how it is. It's like, oh fuck, I wish I had that. Like, do you get to still benefit from this program?
I mean, I don't see why not. Is somebody going to set you up officially with a mentor if you have a year in? I don't know. It depends on your office, but you know, like I said, at my office, occasionally we'll just get all the PTFs together, like talk to them. Like, I was doing some safety things, checking on people, making sure we're all set. was giving out my card, here, call me if you ever need anything. Were some of them eligible for the mentor program? I don't know. And I don't care because I'll help anybody. If you have 30 years in and you want me to tell you how to do things, by all means, let's get down to it. You know what I'm saying? But that's where sometimes I think as a new employee, you have to be a little self-sufficient and, not be afraid to ask for help and not be afraid to ask questions.
Okay, cool.
All right, do we want to move on to listener questions then, Gus?
Absolutely.
All right. From ArgCourt on Reddit, is the new program actually retaining CCAs?
I can't speak for a nearly 650,000 employee company, but
Why not, Gus? Why not?
right. And but I can just tell you anecdotally, in my office, I don't think a PTF has quit in some time, probably since July. So it seems to work because it seemed like to me, again, this is just Gus Fernandez, that most of the people that quit, it was because it was just too much too soon for them. I had people, they seemed to be doing great, and then they would just have a bad day. It's kind of like a snowball, like they would fall behind because they got too much work, and it never seemed like they could catch up because there were no kind of like, no structure in place to keep them from being overloaded. So I've noticed, at least in my office, that it seems to have really helped people. I'd like to say the mentorship program, but I think it's really the restrictions on the hours that have been helping people. It's been easing
That part.
people in. Yeah, it's been easing people in. And then since these people don't quit, the next person that shows up helps the staffing a little bit more. If we're entitled to 10 and they were quitting within a week, the turnover was 1. You only having 1 staffed at a time. Whereas now, since they're staying, you get up to that 9, 10, 11 PTFs from my office. And it seems like they stay and then they're not expected to do it as much because there's more of them. So the load gets kind of dispersed out. If that makes sense. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Definitely makes sense.
ultimately, the truth is a program like this, you're not going to be really able to judge its merits for some time. And I think that's important to keep in mind too. This is like brand new, nationally anyways. So, there's going to be growing pains. There are things that are going to happen, and it's going to have to go through the grievance procedure to find out where it lies, the true answer. But at least for me, it seems to be working and keeping people retained.
Yeah, and Gus, you and I talked about this because I have some of my personal gripes with the program. Most of them are principle based. I'm not going to go into that. Whatever. But like you and I have talked about it, this is such a necessary thing because what else do we have, right? Like, nothing is nothing's going to be perfect. This is at least something. So I'm glad that, like, even anecdotally, the hours protections, if nothing else, are helping people stick to it.
Right. And, it's exactly right. Nothing wasn't working. So,
Yeah.
we got to try
Well,
something. And maybe it
well,
doesn't work. Maybe it does work. But what we were doing wasn't working. So you have to at least give, both sides credit for coming to some sort of, solution. And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. But at least they acknowledge there's a problem, right? That's the first step, don't they say? You have to acknowledge
Yeah.
there's a problem. So we all acknowledge there's a problem. Awesome. Now let's work on solutions. And I'm sure this will have to be tweaked. And one thing that I've always kind of been disappointed in the post office, I think they try to nationalize things too much. Where, like, you're in Texas, you guys have different concerns than
Oh
me
yeah.
and the suburbs of Boston. So maybe they'll give the regions a little bit of flexibility to kind of serve their own needs and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys delivered in a frozen hurricane today, and I was sweating my ass off in 75-degree weather. So,
Yeah,
like,
I want
it's
to put
not
something in
everything's gonna
context.
work everywhere.
Yeah, I want to tell the listeners something. I was talking to Badmouth, and he was complaining that it was 45 degrees. And while he was complaining that it was 45 degrees, I was in a snowstorm. And I'm just like, that seems rich. I would kill for 45 degrees right now.
I'm in Texas. It's Satan's armpit from May through October. but this is actually a nice place to be right now, weather-wise. Weather-wise.
For
So
certain. So I think we would all agree then. At least this is a stepping stone to eventually maybe mold into a better program eventually. That being said, another question is management actually assisting with this program?
In my office, they are. I mean, I have a good relationship with my manager, and I've said things to him of concerns, and he takes it, and he addresses them, and he said things to me, and he's like, I asked for headlamps. I said, we have all these new people. Do we have headlamps? He's like, hold on, and he gave them to me and said, here, Gus, you hand them out to the people you think that need them or that you talk to. But I'm one office of how many offices are there? I'm not going to sit here and tell
yeah,
you that every office is, I'm sure there are offices where manager won't leave the office and, whatever, they won't be help. But at the end of the day, I think, I think all these podcasts and all these, union things, it's got to be letter carriers helping letter carriers, whether it's official or unofficial. We have the ability to help each other, and we need to do that.
I don't think there's
okay.
any official thing on unionism. I think just unionism is just acknowledging that there's someone in need, that's whether it's in their same craft or not. If you can help out a brother or sister, you just got to do it. So another question that we got from the same ARG court is, what made you choose to be a city carrier instead of a rural or a clerk?
They were hiring. I mean, uh, I needed a job, but
same,
like
same.
where I am, there's not really a lot of rural carriers. There's some in Massachusetts, more than I would think, but my area, I'm a city kid, so no. And I don't clerks. I don't even think they were hiring then. There were a lot of clerks when I started, so it was kind of hard to get into.
Word up.
But I mean, I couldn't be a clerk. I'm absolutely an outdoor guy. I love being outdoors. So
Same, brother.
All right, we got another set of questions here. You notice a
yeah,
theme here. We kind of have sets of questions from some people, but
C Diddy on Reddit. That username did not age well. Says Gus is the man, which I agree. And then,
love to have.
but yeah, no, dude, we love having you. The Weary Traveler on our Discord. Which, by the way, if you're a CCA listening to this, you don't know about the Discord, join the Formate Arbitration Discord. You can just ask questions straight in there. There are a ton of knowledgeable people. That's how half of us know each other. Just that's a Discord plug. But yeah, the Weary Traveler on Discord asks, do employees who serve a probationary period and reapply at another installation have to go through another probationary period where they're subject to the NEERMP rules?
So I asked a couple people about this one because I was very interested on this one too. And the consensus was, if you're treated like a new employee, like, if you quit, section one and go somewhere else and basically just get rehired, then the answer would be yes. If you just like transfer or something, I don't think the answer is yes. Does that make sense? So,
Yeah.
or
So
if like you leave the post office for a year or two, try to, maybe your band tries to make it big, doesn't work out, so you come back, you'd be like basically a new employee. It's for new employees. So if you're classified as a new employee in your capacity, the program's for you, even if you have been here before.
okay, all right, that kind of makes sense. So it's
Yeah,
if you're transferring, you're not necessarily a new employee. You're new to that
correct.
station, but you could potentially still take advantage of having you still get the same protections either way, but like, okay, all right, that kind of makes sense.
Mhm.
um I immediately thinking of the Simpsons joke where Homer uses "it's my first day" for every excuse throughout his entire career. um, okay, cool.
all right, so we got legitimate salvage, also from the Discord, asks, can you cover the 30, 60, 90-day reviews? what to expect it to look like, the 1750s having a mentor present versus their right to say they prefer not to have the mentor present, etc.
Yeah, so on the 30, 60, 90, we already kind of talked about it a little bit, but that's just your review period. 90 days is probation. Like when I started, I was told very explicitly, like, you've got 90 days to impress us for the rest of your career. So that was kind of the goal. And, you know,
Horrifying.
they're just going over, and if you're in a good office with a solid structure, it really shouldn't be 30, 60, 90. It should be every day them letting you know, hey, this is what we expect out of you. This is what you accomplished. We were impressed. And, you're going to fluctuate. Like, it's not going to be just a straight line up. They're going to be good days. They're going to be bad days. Like, I don't know about you guys, but on Monday, this week was brutal. There was
Oh,
a ton of mail. There were a ton of packages. Like, if you were a new employee, you were not having a good day. I don't care who you are. And then the next day was considerably less miserable, and you probably had a pretty good day. So there's going to be ups and downs. And you know, supervisors, usually it's your kind of, each office has a supervisor you probably deal with as a new employee a little bit more than the other ones. They'll probably be the ones sitting down with you, and they'll know what they were scheduling you for and how you've been doing and stuff like that. And, I used to say it's like Animal Farm, every route's the same, except for some are more same than the others, right? So like if they're putting you on harder routes, they should acknowledge we're putting you on more difficult routes. And we appreciate you making that effort and not kind of folding under the pressure. And then regarding whether you want your mentor there or not, everyone's a little different. Maybe you have a really great relationship with your mentor. You trust what they're saying. You want them there. Some other people, I mean, you are getting reviewed on how your, conduct and your work is. Maybe you just rather have that be in private between you and the supervisor. And that's totally fair. Whatever gets you to day 91 is what you should do. Whatever you feel most
Oh, yeah.
comfortable with.
for
Oh,
sure,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Also, my alternate title to Animal Farm was the duality of ham. Uh,
That's great.
the sorry, I'm a dork.
Legitimate Salvage on Discord also asked, also maybe talk about how not working outside your home office for the first 8 weeks also means they can't be sent to another location for Amazon Sunday parcels slash holiday parcel delivery.
Yes. So as the PTFs and CCAs know, Amazon Sundays, right? So I assume this is national. It is for Boston. You have hubs, right? Not every office is open, so they consolidate. So, you might have 4 or 5 offices that operate out of one office. So if your office is a hub, you know, no good for you. You're working your first Sundays. But if your office is not a hub and you have to go somewhere, then you don't have to go there until the provision is met in the new program. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's
Wow,
on
that's a
that sheet.
hell of a caveat.
Yeah. So, I mean, you get a little lucky, whatever. I mean, you're not going to avoid Amazon Sundays. It's just delaying the inevitable. The most important thing with Amazon Sunday, Low, even more important than that, is you're supposed to get separate training for that. So, your OJI training is 3 to 5 days, depending on what you need. You'll get a separate day for Sunday. So, if you train with me, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Sunday they go, oh, you were with Gus for 3 days. You're good for Amazon. That's incorrect. You need to train with somebody on Amazon. Because as you guys know, there's some stuff that's a little different on Amazon, the Copilot and some of the loading and the X routes and things like that.
Holy shit, that's a really good point. So it's almost because it's almost completely. I mean, any CCA who's carried Amazon knows that it's a completely different job from carrying a route, but it's treated almost the same as different vehicles. By the way, CCAs don't drive a ProMaster if you've only been trained on an LLV. Each vehicle you're supposed to get separate training on. This is similar to that. You got to get training on Amazon Sundays as well. I didn't know that.
Yes, so that's separate training with somebody who's an expert in it, and that's probably going to be a fellow PTF who's been doing it for a little bit. Or like my office, we have volunteers, regulars that do it. I'm sure one of them would be more than happy to train you or something like that. But that's separate because, like you said, Badmouth, you're 100% right. My route, I have a mounted route, so I have packages with, I do while I'm doing my park and loops. But on Amazon, it's just packages, just driving to each house, CBU, whatever your delivery point is. You have A lot of people use the GPS on the scanner, and you've got the co-pilot. The packages are numbered a little differently. Because I'm not too worried on my route what the number package is, but on Amazon, because you start at 1, you end at whatever number it is, you want to make sure you're going in the right order and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's even something as silly as there's different tricks. You can number your packages by order of delivery or by stop, and that takes usually another CCA telling you how to do that with your scanner. That's I didn't even think of that. That's awesome.
All right. Well, that's what we have for listener questions. I know this one's been a little bit short, but Gus, we were told that you were going to take our solidarity soapbox this week.
Hey, we gotta ask our favorite OJI, because the thing is, with the NERP is how it's applied at all these different post offices all over the nation. How it's applied and how into it the union is depends on its success. Same with the cadet training. And you, my man, are an amazing OJI. I want to hear your pep talk and your solidarity pep talk that you give all your CCAs at Academy.
Oh boy. Well, this just went from a short podcast to a long podcast. No, I'm just kidding. So the most important thing as a new employee, is you got to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. One thing that I think goes underreported in the difficulty of our job is you're going to be by yourself for 90% of your day, right? So you won't know if you're doing something wrong, because you're just out there doing, nobody's behind you to correct you or anything like that. So if you have questions, it's imperative to ask. And I always say in class, what is the worst thing that can happen when you ask a question? They just don't have the answer, or they just don't say anything, and you can go on to the next person. So don't be afraid to ask questions. And I know it's easier said than done, but don't get discouraged by bad days. I've been here for 19 years. I've had a lot of bad days, but the great days, the good days far outnumber the bad days. I wouldn't give up this career for anything. I've met great people along the way. It's been able to provide for a life I'm very proud of. I get to do something I enjoy outside. I get to feel like I'm a part of the community. And it's a really rewarding career. And don't get frustrated if you have a bad day. If something doesn't go your way. I always tell this story towards the end of Academy, but it was kind of like a day like today. It was November. It was freezing out. I was doing the north end, and it's all couch boxes. So I'm touching a metal key the whole day while it's about 33, 34 degrees, just raining, miserable. I came back to the office. I was soaked. That cold. Townie knows what I'm talking about. That cold you feel in your bones. And it's just like miserable. And I must have looked very uncomfortable. And one of the older carriers slapped me as hard as he could on the shoulder. He said, "That was a fun day today, wasn't it?" I just looked at him and he said, "Guess what? It ended. Go home, take a hot shower, and you'll be back tomorrow." And that's what happened. So don't be discouraged by the bad days. Don't get, overwhelmed. Just try to take a deep breath, deliver the mail you're holding, and then just go from there.
Fuck yeah.
I felt that. I felt that today, man. Today I was at my NDCBUs and those were shaking, man. We were delivering at like 60 mile an hour wind gusts. It was wild. It was
Yeah.
wild.
Well,
Man,
that's what
I
I
just
say
want
about
to go
That's
ahead.
what I say about New England. Like, we don't have the worst weather, we just have all the weather, and that's in a week.
Oh, for certain. It goes from 15 to 30. That's crazy. Real fast. I just want to say, Gus, thanks for being our mentor on that new employee experience retention and mentor program.
Hey, I
Oh yeah.
appreciate it, and thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cole, did we hit everything on the outline?
Yeah, that's everything. This was a kind of a short one, which is good because we like to be brief but informative. Look for us. So, all right, inside baseball time. Y'all ready?
Yep.
All right. So today is the 19th of December. I'm going to get this edited and ready to go probably tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Sunday this week, so the 21st. This will go up right before Christmas. So by the time you're listening to this, it's right at Christmas time. Next week, you get 2 hours of us rambling on our year-end wrap-up show. So the reason I know it's 2 hours is we recorded these out of order, so out of release order. But look forward to that one. It is really good. It's really fun. We had a ton of fun with it, and there's some very special things going on in that episode that you don't want to miss. So I'm not going to give any more away than that. You have to wait for it, and you have to listen to all 2 hours of us. So no, but is there anything else that we need to add, or is this thing wrapping up?
I think this is an episode. Gus, once again, you are brilliant. Hey, for anyone who joins the Cremated Arbitration Discord, you hang out in the CCA Corner channel, right?
I do. I'll answer questions, but I got to admit the people in that Discord are excellent. But I'll look at a question and it's already been answered like 3 times. I'm like, oh, all right,
Yeah,
you guys
I
got
know,
me.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to plug that one more time, and then Gus, as always, thank you for coming on. We'll probably hit you up to come back on again in this next year, and then we got our AMA episode is special and having fun going up, and want to just say thank you to everyone listening to us. Out delivering, or if you're at your second job selling plasma, or stealing catalytic converters to try and make ends meet. Borrowing. Yeah. Thank you guys. Love you very much.